Our story of Ethiopia begins millions of years ago, deep in the Great Rift Valley. It is here that scientists made a remarkable discovery. They found the fossilized bones of an early human ancestor. Her name is Lucy, or as she is known in Ethiopia, Dinkinesh, which means you are marvelous. This discovery is incredibly important for all of humanity. It shows that Ethiopia is a place where some of the very first human-like beings walked the earth. This land is truly a cradle of humanity, holding the secrets of our earliest origins within its ancient soil. The story of this nation is not just a story of Africa, it is a story of all of us. Long before the famous empires rose, early civilizations began to form in this region. One of the earliest was the Kingdom of Aksum, which emerged around the 10th century BCE. This kingdom was located in what is now northern Ethiopia and Eritrea. The people of Aksum were skilled builders and farmers. They developed complex irrigation systems to water their crops in a dry land. They also built impressive stone temples and traded with people across the Red Sea, including those in southern Arabia. This early kingdom laid the foundation for the powerful states that would follow, creating a legacy of innovation and trade that would define the region for centuries. The influence from across the Red Sea was significant. People from the Sabaean kingdom in modern-day Yemen crossed the water and settled in the Ethiopian highlands. They brought with them their language, their writing system, and their advanced building techniques. This cultural exchange enriched the local traditions and helped create a unique civilization. You can see this blend of cultures in the artifacts that have been found from this period. The Kingdom of Aksum eventually declined, but its legacy did not disappear. It paved the way for an even greater power that would soon rise and dominate the entire region, building upon these ancient foundations. The early history of Ethiopia is therefore a tale of deep time and cultural mixing. From the ancient footsteps of Lucy to the organized society of Aksum, the highlands of Ethiopia were always a place of human activity and innovation. These early chapters are essential to understanding the long and proud history of the nation. They show us that Ethiopia has been a center of civilization for thousands of years. The people here were not isolated. They were connected to the wider world through trade and migration. This set the stage for the rise of one of Africa's most powerful and enduring empires. Following the decline of Aksum, a new power emerged around the 1st century CE. This was the mighty Aksumite Empire. Aksum became a major player in the world, connecting Africa with the Roman Empire and the distant lands of India. Its main port, Adulis on the Red Sea, was a bustling hub of international trade. Ships arrived carrying goods like silk, spices, and glass, and they left filled with gold, ivory, and frankincense from the African interior. The rulers of Aksum grew wealthy and powerful from this trade. They minted their own coins, a sign of their great status and economic strength in the ancient world. A very important change happened in Aksum during the 4th century CE. The ruler at the time, King Ezana, decided to adopt a new religion, Christianity. This decision would shape Ethiopia's identity forever. According to tradition, 2 Christian brothers from Syria were shipwrecked on the coast and brought to the royal court. They shared their faith with the young king, who eventually converted and declared Christianity the state religion. This made Aksum one of the very first Christian kingdoms in the entire world, even before many parts of Europe. This deep-rooted Christian faith would become a central part of Ethiopian culture and politics for the next 1,700 years. The Aksumite Empire left behind incredible monuments that still stand today. The most famous are the giant carved obelisks, or stelae, of Aksum. These huge towers of solid stone were built as markers for the tombs of the rulers. The largest one is over 24 meters tall and is a marvel of ancient engineering. How the people of Aksum managed to carve, transport, and erect these massive stones is still a subject of study. The empire eventually declined due to a combination of factors, including environmental changes and the rise of Islam, which shifted trade routes away from the Red Sea. But its legacy of faith, trade, and engineering lived on. After the fall of Aksum, a new ruling family, the Zagwe dynasty, came to power around the 12th century. The Zagwe kings were devout Christians who wanted to build a new Jerusalem in Ethiopia. Their most famous achievement is the creation of the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. These are not buildings constructed with blocks. They are churches carved directly out of the solid volcanic rock of the mountains. There are 11 of them, each one a unique work of art and faith. Pilgrims still travel to Lalibela today to worship in these incredible structures, which are now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Zagwe dynasty continued Aksum's Christian tradition in a truly spectacular way. Around the year 1270, the Zagwe dynasty was overthrown, and a new line of rulers took control. This was the Solomonic dynasty. Its leaders claimed to be directly descended from the biblical King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. According to Ethiopia's national epic, the Kebra Nagast, the Queen of Sheba visited King Solomon in Jerusalem, and they had a son named Menelik I. He is said to have returned to Ethiopia with the Ark of the Covenant, the sacred chest containing the Ten Commandments. This story gave the Solomonic rulers immense authority and legitimacy. They were seen not just as kings, but as the chosen guardians of God's sacred covenant on earth. For centuries, the Solomonic emperors ruled over a vast and complex empire. They defended their Christian kingdom against numerous threats and expanded its borders. The dynasty presided over a golden age of Ethiopian literature, art, and music, with monasteries becoming great centers of learning. However, the 19th century brought a new and dangerous challenge: European colonialism. As European powers began to divide Africa among themselves in what was called the Scramble for Africa, Ethiopia stood as one of the last independent nations. Its leaders knew they had to modernize and strengthen their country to survive. This was a critical moment in the nation's long history. One of the most important leaders during this period was Emperor Menelik II. He was a brilliant strategist and a modernizer. He unified the country, founded the modern capital city of Addis Ababa, and introduced new technologies like the telephone and the railway. When Italy tried to invade and colonize Ethiopia in 1896, Menelik II gathered a massive army from all corners of his empire. At the Battle of Adwa, the Ethiopian forces won a stunning and decisive victory. This was a historic moment. An African nation had defeated a modern European army on the battlefield. The victory at Adwa made Ethiopia a symbol of freedom and resistance for Black people all over the world. Another key figure in the 20th century was Emperor Haile Selassie. He continued the process of modernization and worked to give Ethiopia a voice on the world stage. He joined the League of Nations and became an international icon. However, his reign was interrupted in 1935 when Italy, under the fascist leader Benito Mussolini, invaded Ethiopia once again. This time, the Italians used superior weapons, including airplanes and poison gas, and occupied the country for 5 years. Haile Selassie went into exile and made a famous appeal to the League of Nations for help. Ethiopian patriots continued to fight a guerrilla war against the occupiers until the country was finally liberated in 1941 with the help of British forces. After its liberation, Ethiopia entered a new and often difficult chapter in its history. Emperor Haile Selassie was restored to the throne, but his rule faced growing challenges. In 1974, a military coup led by a committee called the Derg overthrew the ancient monarchy. The Derg established a Marxist-Leninist state, leading to a period of great upheaval known as the Red Terror, in which many people were killed or imprisoned. The country also suffered from devastating famines and a long, drawn-out civil war. During this same period, the region of Eritrea, which had been federated with Ethiopia, fought a long war for independence, which it finally achieved in 1993 after the Derg was defeated. The end of military rule in 1991 brought about significant changes. Ethiopia adopted a new constitution and established a federal system, dividing the country into states based largely on ethnicity. This was an attempt to give more autonomy to the country's many different ethnic groups. However, this system has also led to tensions and conflicts over land, resources, and political power. In recent years, Ethiopia has faced serious challenges, including political instability and civil war, particularly in the Tigray region. Despite these struggles, the country has also seen remarkable economic growth and development, lifting many people out of poverty and building new infrastructure, like the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Ethiopia's story is unique in the world for many reasons. It is one of the very few African nations that was never fully colonized by a European power, a source of immense national pride. Its ancient Christian heritage, with its own pope and traditions, remains a powerful force in daily life. Ethiopia also has its own unique script, Ge'ez, which is one of the oldest alphabets still in use in the world. Furthermore, the country follows its own calendar, the Ethiopian calendar, which is about 7 years behind the Gregorian calendar used in most of the world. This means that while much of the world celebrated the new millennium in the year 2000, Ethiopia celebrated it in 2007. Today, Ethiopia stands as a testament to resilience and the enduring power of culture. It is home to more UNESCO World Heritage Sites than any other country in Africa, from the ancient stelae of Aksum to the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela and the walled city of Harar. These sites are not just relics of the past, they are living parts of the nation's identity. The story of Ethiopia is a journey through the whole of human history, from our earliest ancestors to the complex challenges of the modern world. It is a story of faith, independence, and a unique cultural heritage that continues to inspire and fascinate people everywhere.